What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching a Ragin Ronin review. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the new recently released trailer for Point Break, the remake. That's right, Point Break, the classic 1991 action thriller, is being remade. The original was directed by Kathryn Bigelow, and it starred Keanu Reeves as Johnny Utah, who plays the undercover cop that infiltrates a gang of wave surfing, skydiving, bank robbers led by Bodhi, played by Patrick Swayze. This time, it's directed by Erickson Core, who directed The Invincible, starring Mark Wahlberg, which was a pretty decent film, and it's also got a screenplay written by Kurt Wimmer, who wrote and directed Equilibrium. So this is the team behind this remake. Now, you're probably wondering and gonna ask, why? Why does this classic action film need to be remade? Well, I don't really need to answer that because you already know the answer. Because of the same reason why every other film is being remade. RoboCop, Total Recall, they have all been remade for the very same reasons. Because Hollywood died. Hollywood is dead. Hollywood died a number of years ago. I can't remember exactly when they died, but essentially they're out of ideas. And ultimately, original ideas. That's why they're bringing all these classic films back now, updating them to bring it for the new generation of audiences. Not really for the fans of the originals, because it looks like not a whole lot of the fans are happy about these remakes. Well, let me give you my thoughts about this, okay? So, you know what? The original was a classic. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really great film, and it's got a really classic cop and robber feel. We don't have a whole lot of these types of films anymore, all right? So they decided to update it, and instead of surfing, skydiving, bank robbers, we got, you know, something a little bit more. They decided to present it to us in a grander scale visually. So we got wingsuit divers, we got rock climbers, we got like guys who love to ride motorcycles, like doing all kinds of crazy stunts. I mean, we got surfers and, you know, all kinds of extreme sports. So that's where they decided to upgrade it, okay? So, you know, that's all there, all right? But, you know, let me tell you something. What really makes the original work is the characters. Johnny Utah, played by Keanu Reeves. Bodhi, played by Patrick Swayze. What's his name? Papa's, played by Gary Busey, okay? As well as Ben Hart, played by John C. McGinley, okay? We're not getting these characters back. I mean, we are getting them in the form of Edgar Ramirez and Luke Bracey. Okay, you know, Luke Bracey's character. I mean, his acting in the trailer, his dialogue delivery, it's terrible. That's the first thing I notice in this trailer. The acting from Luke Bracey is terrible. He is no Johnny Utah. Okay, Edgar Ramirez. You know what? He's a decent actor. He's actually a very solid actor. I think he does a really good job in his performances in previous films that I've seen him in, okay? I like Edgar Ramirez, but you know what? He really doesn't need to play Bodhi, okay? As a matter of fact, this film does not need to be called Point Break. Luke Bracey's character does not need to be named Johnny Utah, okay? This film, when I watched the trailer, okay? When I watched the trailer of this film, you know what it feels like? It feels like the third installment of Triple X, which doesn't actually exist, but they could call it Triple X 3 and have Samuel Jackson in this film, okay? Because that's what it looks like. Fast and Furious essentially was a kind of remake to Point Break. I mean, it's not really a remake, but it takes the exact story, but it replaces these thrill seekers with street racers. And Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, is the Johnny Utah character. So Fast and Furious is essentially an updated Point Break film, okay? So there's really no need to remake Point Break. There is no need to do it at all. The only reason why the studios call it Point Break is marketing, okay? They figured that the fans, you know, of the original would want to see this one. I'm sure a huge number of fans do not want to watch this film. I'm gonna watch it. I'm a fan of the original film, but I want to watch it just because if you look at this film as a standalone film, as having no connection with the original, it actually looks like a decent action film. But unfortunately, we already know what will happen if they call it Triple X 3 or if they call it something else, okay, like an original film, and that is it won't sell. Okay, it won't sell just because it doesn't look like anything special except for, you know, a pretty standard, your standard action fare. Okay, it doesn't have any big stars in it. Okay, and you know, like I said, Luke Bracey is just like, he does not have star power. I mean, I'm looking at this, and the star of the movie is Edgar Ramirez. Okay, so I mean, they got Ray Winstone and Delroy Lindo, but you know what? They cannot replace, they absolutely cannot replace Gary Busey. Okay, so yeah, this is really unfortunate. Now, this trailer, this is something pretty funny. This trailer has a huge amount of dislikes. It's like half likes, half dislikes. Half of the likes probably came from people who don't even know what Point Break is. Okay, the other half, which is dislikes, came from the fans of the original who are really not interested in this. Okay, and it kind of reminds me of the recently released Gem and the Holograms trailer, which has no connection of the original source material at all. Okay, and that's why there's so many dislikes on the Gem and the Holograms trailer. All right, and I'll bet that it won't do very well at the box office. But a movie like that doesn't cost a whole lot of money to make. But I'll tell you, the only connection that the Point Break remake has to the original is the names of the characters, like Bodhi and Papas and Johnny Utah. And there's just one scene that I didn't even really notice until I watched the trailer the second time, and that is the bank robber mask. Okay, when there's a scene where they're stealing something in motorcycles. One of them's wearing a mask that resembles one of the dead presidents. Okay, one of the presidents of the United States of America. Okay, that's the only thing I noticed that is a connection to the original. But other than that, you know what? They might as well call it Triple X3 because that's what it looks like. If you don't already know, the Triple X franchise, that'd be Triple X, directed by Rob Cohen, and also Triple X2, State of Union, is about a thrill-seeking type of spy, okay, who infiltrates the bad guys. That's what it's about. The original was directed by Rob Cohen, starring Vin Diesel. The second one, I think, was directed by John Singleton. I could be wrong, and it starred Ice Cube. But the recurring character in that franchise is Samuel Jackson. Okay, so they might as well put Samuel Jackson in the Point Break remake, call it Triple X3, and then have Luke Bracey as a character that's not named Johnny Utah. And then you would have a better film, just like that. You would have a better, like a fan base that welcomes this film a lot more. Because look at the stunts; they look great. You know, all the rock climbing, all the wave surfing, all the wingsuit jumping. Those are done by professionals. No CG there. Okay, that's done by actual professionals. They went out and got professional rock climbers, or like seasoned rock climbers and wingsuit divers or jumpers and surfers who know their stuff. And I'm positive that all that footage of extreme sports is going to look spectacular. But that looks like the only thing that is the redeeming factor about this movie. Okay, a lot of critics are going to compare it to the original. A lot of fans who watch it are going to compare it to the original. I'm going to watch it as a standalone film, okay? I'm going to have an open mind, but right away, even if he's named Johnny Utah, I'll tell you right now that the acting from Luke Bracey looks terrible. The dialogue delivery is cringeworthy, okay? In those minimal dialogue that he has in the trailer, it just looks really, really bad, okay? But the stunts, you know what? The visuals look very, very spectacular, and you know what? That's all that's really going for this film. That's it, okay? Edgar Ramirez, very solid actor, but I'm not there to watch his acting. I'm not there to see the overall story. I'm sure they're going to change it a little bit, okay? But I'm there to see like some crazy stunts. All right, that's all I'm paying my money for. All right, and there you have it. Okay, what do you guys think about it? I mean, like, not so much about like the idea of a remake, but what do you think about this trailer? Okay, does it look all right? Okay, because like the only thing that really bothers me is you know, these characters and how they're trying to emulate Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves, okay? And they don't really do a good job in that. So they might as well not call it Point Break. They should call it something else. But other than that, the stunts look great. And it looks like quite a visual feast. And there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this video. Let me know how you feel about it in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, @RaginNation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Buy a hot dog and a big drink, and you know, you buy a couple of souvenirs, and you are ready. You are ready to go on a couple of rides, but then you see that the rides have